Welcome to TGIF, and our word of the day is impossible.
Whoa, that's a word we don't like. I like when things are possible that I attempt. But have I used the word impossible with things sometimes that maybe I was trying to accomplish? Ooh, and I forgot to include God or go to God first. I mean, I think about all the impossible things we hear on a daily basis. It's impossible to lose these last 5 pounds or these last 10 pounds. We hear that all the time. Or it's impossible for this. And we know that with God, all things are possible. So I think that's a pretty negative word we can get stuck in.
And it's trying to put it in perspective of that when we tap into God, that all things are possible, like you said. And so there are many challenges in this world. I mean, flat out, since the beginning of time, right? There's been so many challenges, and many people like to take on challenges. And some people actually, like, if you say it's impossible, they're going to go and figure out how to make it happen.
I'll show you.
Yeah, and some even try attempting to do the impossible in ways like, remember jumping, a motorcycle over so many buses, right?
Yeah.
Evil Knievel.
Evel Knievel.
How many buses can he jump over or stuff like that? The impossible. There's always somebody out there that wants to try to take it on. And so I think when we hear things are impossible, we need to take a breath and we need to first check it with God. It's like, God, is this something you're calling me to, or calling me to figure out? Because when you think about all the things that have been invented, the inventions over time, but remember, in the darkness, God created light. He's the great creator of light. But we have a light bulb today, and an individual created that light bulb, right? Well, it's been transformed into LED lighting, and so we see that growth has come. But that's because God gives these individuals the knowledge. Whether they went to God and prayed about it, or it was like their self-determination to accomplish something, is another whole conversation, another whole TGIF. But what we're really focusing on here is how Daniel, this young man that has been moved out of his comfort zone and what he knew into a culture that is very foreign to him, and he's trying to understand, now what, right? It's like, what do I do now? Where are my hopes? Where are my dreams? What about the things that I wanted to succeed in? So it's important for us to remember. And so as we look at Daniel, we're looking at chapter 2, verse 11.
The king's demand is impossible. No one except the gods can tell you your dream, and they do not live here among people.
Yeah, notice the word gods in there. It's
little g.
Little g, and it's multiple. So one thing we know about Babylonians, they had a lot of gods and all little g's because none of them were real. And Daniel knows the true God, big G, and there's only one, and he created all things and all people. So there is this circumstance that King Nebuchadnezzar awakens from a dream, and he is like flipped out. I mean, have you ever had one of those really bad dreams? Like the dream's like, it's just terrible. It's like, tell me what all this means. And you're like, there's no way to figure it out. Well, King Nebuchadnezzar had a lot of wise people around him. He had sorcerers, different people with different talents to interpret different things. And Daniel was one of those that had some of that wisdom, but he understood where it come from. So the other sorcerers and all those people that King Nebuchadnezzar had called, they're like, nobody on earth. This is impossible. There's nobody on earth, because King wasn't telling them what the dream was, right? It's one thing if he tells you the dream, now interpret it. He wasn't telling them the dream. They needed to tell him what the dream was so he could verify they're legit and then allow them to interpret it. And so he puts out a decree that all the wise people, all these people that he's been training, they're all going to be wiped out, wiped out, including Daniel and his crew. And so Daniel hears about that, and so he asks for permission to go before the king and asks the king, give me a day, give me a day to go to my God and see if my God will reveal it to me. And so he does. And so the dream does get interpreted, and it's a very powerful dream because some of it represents the falling of kingdom after kingdom after kingdom. So, and one of those being King Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom. And so how do you think that goes over? That's probably a little shaking at your feet, but King Nebuchadnezzar, after he does that, he realizes that Daniel's legit. He's the real thing. He has just done the impossible. Did he do the impossible? No, he gives God the credit for the impossible. And I think that's when we're faced with impossible things, even if our kingdom is going to fall, there's some tragedies that happen in our lives. And when the kingdoms fall that we think we've built safe, who do we give credit? Who do we go to? And how do we sort through it? It's not easy. It's not easy, is it?
Nope. In Daniel chapter 2, verse 14, when Arioch, the commander of the king's guard, came to kill them, Daniel handled the situation with wisdom and discernment. And I think that right there tells us when you feel things are impossible, when you feel everything has fallen apart, and just like Daniel's, give me a minute, give me time with my God, that's where that wisdom and discernment comes from. But we are so quick to jump in with our own conclusions.
Oh, and so try to solutions too, right? Conclusions and solutions, yeah.
So I think that's a perfect example of that wisdom and discernment.
Yeah, so I think that for this dream, processing it through, Daniel's understanding that, wow, God's got a bigger plan here too. Because see, Daniel didn't fully know what God's plan was in taking him to Babylon. And all of a sudden, I feel like him interpreting this dream, he's like, oh, God's in charge. And guess what? There's going to be another kingdom and another kingdom and another kingdom. But then he says there's going to be yet another kingdom that's going to ultimately last forever, and that's Jesus. So when Jesus comes, so he's already prophesying in this moment about there is a kingdom coming that will not end, that will rule. And we've got to believe that still today. I think we get caught up in the worrying about everything, and there's plenty to worry about in this world.
And the word scripture tells us that it's going to get harder before it gets better, before the end times. And I think we just think that this is it, and we continue to need God to get us through each and every day, through all the impossibles that we face in our life. So we need that wisdom and discernment. And are we seeking it?
Yeah. And when the impossible situations come up, how do we respond? Because it does matter. If you're flying off the handle or upset and angry about everything, nobody's going to listen to you anyway. And I think that being that calm presence, being able to handle the situation, right?
Right.
And I think that that's important when you start talking about how to be a man or a woman of God.
So question we leave you with: in what areas of your life do you need to pause and seek God's wisdom before responding? And I think that it starts right in our own home, with our spouse or significant or whoever we're with, or around our family, around our grandkids, or in the workplace. Do we pause and seek God's wisdom before responding to something that didn't really hit us the right way, the way we wanted it?
Yeah, I sometimes think about if you go buy a new car, they say, well, go home and sleep on it, right? You should always think about a big purchase before you do that. When there's a big impossible thing before you, go home and sleep on it and pray to God and be fresh the next day to take on.
And trusting that He's got the plan. He's not done with you until your last breath. He is still using you for His kingdom work. So for next week, read Daniel chapter 3, and we'll see you next time on TGIF. Have a great week. Bye.